Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. Many of you have previously attended our spring events, and in real life, this would be the moment I invite you to find your seat and point out the fire exits. Obviously, there is no need for that this morning, and I hope you are all sitting comfortably with a mug of coffee to hand. All being well, next spring we will be together again in person. But for now, we are going with this plan B, which we hope you will find useful, interesting, and even a little bit inspiring. Before I hand over to Councillor Burton, who will introduce this morning's event, it might be helpful if I describe how this is all going to work. You may already have had a quick scan of the screen as it appears on your device. If I can draw your attention first to the programme box, which has a cursor that scrolls up and down, you will see that this morning's event is a play in two parts. The presentations will run back to back without me popping up between speakers to interrupt the flow. At the end of each session, the previous speakers will assemble as a panel on your screen and will answer questions from the floor. To manage this process, please submit your questions during the presentations via the dialogue box, and I will do my best at this end to gather them on your behalf for the panel. During what we have called a refreshment break, we will run a video called Walking the Riding, produced by the Council's Countryside Access team, and this will provide a short gap between the two sessions. I will appear again briefly to introduce the second session. Returning to your screen, you will also notice a facility to contribute your thoughts and stories during the event via Twitter, using your own device and the hashtag EYLFN, or the chat feature. Please use these facilities freely, as sharing your experiences, insights, and tips can be very helpful to others. This morning's presentations are packed with information, and the icons on this screen also link through to further resources and content. Please do not be fazed by this, and there is no need to make notes. The event is being recorded, and this format is essentially a website which will remain accessible for a further 2 weeks from today, should you want to return to it to pick up on something at a later date. The link that you have used today will work for this catch-up feature. I hope that covers the main points. So with no more ado, I'm delighted to hand over to Councillor Burton to open this morning's event. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to have been invited today to introduce this morning's event on behalf of East Riding of Yorkshire Council, and it's the East Riding Local Food Rural Tourism Network. I'm very proud of the way the council supported this business-led network for many years through thick and thin, and I hope you agree this reflects the council's long-term commitment to our rural economy development across the whole of the East Riding. It's clearly been an understatement to describe the last year as being challenging for business. Gosh, it's been unbelievably difficult, not just for business, but for communities, families, and all individuals in so many different ways. We are now into a year into the pandemic, and the impact that's had, it's been a public health crisis, but it's also been an economic crisis. And for the small business networks, it has been so challenging. And I mean, obviously, I'm being very proud of the way the council has been able to help in so many ways. We've been helped with our facilitate the business grants and the business support that's been needed for business to be able to maintain themselves during this difficult time. Also, we've been able to give that advice as regards how we manage and open ourselves when we're still in this pandemic, but obviously we open ourselves in a safe and a way, and how we manage the COVID and yet being able to keep business going. It's been so challenging in so many different ways, and I really want to reflect on not just on that, but also say thank you to everybody who's been able to rise to the occasion, rise to the difficulty, keep themselves going, and work as a team, because it is about a network, understanding one another and working to team and coming together. And that has been a real strength for the East Riding, and we've seen that in spades, and it's been so pleasing to see. I'm very hopeful now that we're getting towards the final stage of this pandemic, and hopefully we're going to be, in a position where we've got the roadmap. We're going to get out of the lockdown, and that's going to be quite absolutely essential that we do. But however, this morning is about looking forward, and it's about starting looking at much more promising, as I say, the outlook over the next few months, and hopefully the next few years ahead. We have, as I've already touched on, we have a roadmap, and all the indicators are moving in the right direction. I firmly subscribe to the belief that there is a huge pent-up demand out there, and it's about people who want to spend time and money in our area, and they want to spend with family and friends in our attractive surroundings. The wonders of East Riding has on offer, and it's an abundance of offer we have. I mean, obviously my own position, as well as being leader of the council, I run a tourism business myself, so I do understand the challenges of running small businesses, and also suddenly having to deal with this unprecedented challenge of being in the pandemic and what impact that has. I'll be very looking forward to welcoming customers back to our door, and it's about not being fazed by the prospect of having customers coming back. It's going to be really, really essential that we are able to invite them back in a way that's safe, and they know it's safe, and we want to ensure that we get to a whole new normal, so that business will grow and our whole area will thrive. So a long time growing our own business, we are all ambassadors for our area. You would not be members of this network if you didn't realize that anyway. So it's a really great way of us understanding that and showcasing the wonders of what we've got by being part of this network. So really that brings us back to this morning's event, and I'm greatly looking forward to hearing how we can all plug into the resources available to us and attract more visitors to the area and embrace what we have, our offer. And it's about promoting our delicious food, drink, and our fascinating heritage and an amazing wildlife and stunning scenery that we have on our doorstep for all our new visitors to enjoy, and also encouraging them to stay for longer and come back again. And this is going to be a unique time, because clearly with the vaccination program and everything that's happening with it's looking as though we're going to have UK holidays. Staycations are going to be so important. They're going to play a massive role in this year and for future years. And so we need to be in a position, which we hopefully will be, where we can really encourage those people who want to come to this area, project our area to a wider audience, and look forward to business really bouncing back with great strength and having a real sustainable future. So I will close now with a few words of thanks to you all for being here today on your business-led network steering group, whose invaluable advice and guidance ensures that we focus on the priorities for network members. I would also like to thank all the speakers, our own rural team, and who between them have made this morning's event happen. So I will now hand over to the two speakers who will reflect on their own business experiences. Julia will update us on the network's activities. So thank you for now, and enjoy the day.
Hello and welcome to our conference. We should have actually been having the conference here last year, and subsequently it would have been here this year, but because of the situation, we are doing everything virtually, and it's fun, it's challenging, and here I am to introduce me. I am Katie Taylor, and I own Drewton's Farm Shop and the Manor Rooms here on the Drewton Estate in South Cave. We've been established over 10 years, and we launched the Manor Rooms nearly 2 years ago. In all that time, I have been a member of the East Yorkshire Local Food Network and VHAY as well. So, talking about the pandemic, hospitality trade has obviously really suffered. We've managed to keep going in the farm shop right at the very beginning in March last year, when people were panic buying. we negotiated and obtained stock that perhaps the supermarkets were struggling to get hold of. We were ahead of the game then, and obviously the supermarkets have got their act together and had that reassurance, if you like, for customers. But we continue to support over 250 local farmers, growers, producers and suppliers. And we jumped to, when the pandemic hit, we knew we had a responsibility and a duty to look after not just the team here at Drewtons, but to look after our local community and indeed the suppliers who look after us as well. We made sure that we were able to deliver directly to the homes of the vulnerable, those who are shielding, and to the local villagers. My father actually became a dedicated delivery driver during those times as well. So everybody at work and in the family jumped to. We also created a very safe environment for shoppers with a one-way system and a safe collection point. There were a lot of people in those days who wanted to order and come and collect from us in the car park. So we made sure that we ticked all the boxes. We even printed order forms so that people could have those at home for their everyday shopping. And again, later on in the year, our Christmas order forms were a little bit more detailed, and we hand delivered those to even more of the local villagers so that we had a wider audience, and certainly it supported us, and it helped really look after what we're about, and indeed the suppliers and the community kept the business going. We've always done offers on social media and Facebook, but we've had even more out there, especially on the butchery side. Meat offers is always a deal of the week. Going back to a year ago as well, we launched a brand new website for Drewtons, and we added an online click and collect shop. That has really helped optimize the shopping experience for customers, and it's helped us with those sales as well. Systems and procedures have been put in place along the way, all the necessary PPE for the staff and special controls and sanitising stations, etc. for the customers as well as the staff. We even upped our game and gave the team new uniforms, so we were sort of rebranding ourselves as well, putting that reassurance out there for customers to see. Obviously, risk assessments, updates, marketing updates, everything was put in place, and we created a very safe flow throughout the shop, which remains today. Actually, we haven't changed that system, but we have introduced new merchandising displays, a lot more stock, and we have taken over the farm shop dining area as part of the farm shop as well. Obviously, we lost the restaurant. That was only open for a short period of time during the summer last year, and we were able to optimise with the government incentives, help out to dine out during that time. With disposable menus and cutlery pouches and tablets for ordering, we created a really safe environment for customers, and that will apply once we're able to open again in April from outside, before we can do the indoor dining again. Planning ahead, we are actually opening a covered dining area in the courtyard, which will hopefully see us through some of the poor weather days, and shelter for taking us further into the year. Maybe we can use it for promoting other goods and festivals such as when we have Meet the Producer Days as well. We're also putting more picnic benches in for those who wish to have a takeout and enjoy the views from our car park. We really optimised all the way through to try and support the restaurant as best as possible with takeout menus for dining at home, platters including our popular afternoon tea, ready meals, bake at home pizzas, finish at home menus, and of course Sunday lunches and seasonal and themed occasions. The Manor Rooms has really taken a hit. It should have been our first year of real trading when the pandemic hit. So we lost all the big weddings and events during the first year. A lot of those weddings transferred onto this year and have subsequently transferred onto next year as well. We're now seeing a lot more activity with people opting for smaller weddings, taking the maximum of 15 and maximum of 30 into account. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do many one-to-ones and tours of the Manor Rooms, so we have had it set up. As you can see behind me at the moment, it has been permanently set up so that we can do really good virtual tours and Zoom meetings with our brides and grooms and other people wishing to place an event. And we have interacted with suppliers as well. So that's worked well indeed. And we have secured some new bookings for this year and next year as well. So we've managed to, during last summer, we even extended the garden room. We took that opportunity. We knew it wasn't quite big enough and we wanted to create a dedicated ceremony area. And we can seat up to 120 people in there for a ceremony. And it's a beautiful, beautiful room, which can also be used for private dining and other occasions. Like I said before, our popular afternoon teas, and we've got a few 50th birthdays in there. So all in all, we have had really, really good feedback from our customers who have supported us, and we have continued to look after them. We have built really on what we started out to achieve in March last year. A lot has happened, a lot has changed. But I have to say a very, very, very big thank you to the team here at Drewtons and the Manor Rooms for believing in those changes and really looking after my ethos of supporting local, looking after the community and looking after as many people as we possibly can, you know, including our suppliers and members of the local food network. We have the holiday cottages again. They have been very difficult, and obviously we haven't been able to have holiday cottage accommodation in there, but we have had a few longer term bookings where people have been in between houses or taking long term bookings for business purposes. So they've sort of kept us going, but yeah, we're looking forward to the bookings from this summer onwards. The benefits of being a member of the East Yorkshire Local Food Network and VA are massive, really. There is a huge support system and a huge networking system in place with like-minded businesses. And I would really like to show my appreciation for the support during this difficult time and for the Zoom meetings we have had. Made it possible to keep those links going and to support each other and to have those necessary discussions of how we have got through this year and what we aim to achieve for the next year and for the future. Social media workshops have been brilliant before and during the pandemic. And there are opportunities as well for training and marketing. Social media campaigns are on there as well, so we can all link up to those with the shop local. And there's been specialist speakers. I know for a start, we've really benefited from the training in social media and how to optimize the very best in those new ways of marketing. Of course, there's always seasonal calendar events, and the networks are very supportive with the businesses in promoting what each of our businesses are doing at that particular time. So whether it be Christmas or Easter, which is coming up in obviously you are very welcome to become a member of the steering group. Now, there are quite a few of us on the steering group, and we meet 2 to 3 times a year. At the moment, it has been on Zoom, virtual meetings, but we take it in turns, and we will host meetings, again, for like-minded businesses to come along and network and really instate our position in the community and how we can work together to really promote the East Riding of Yorkshire, putting us on the map, and to let people know that we are here and what we have to offer in the way of tourism coming into this area, and also from within our direct area. It's all about supporting businesses and hospitality, what we have in the ways of walk, cycle routes, places to visit, places of worship, activities on our doorstep. It's endless. VHA have a huge following, as do the East Yorkshire Local Food Network. So please, if you are interested in joining the steering group, please contact us, and Julia and the rest of the team would be only too glad to welcome you on board. So as you can see behind me here, this neon sign, very on trend, says "Let the good times roll." So here's to all of you guys, and good luck for this year, and certainly let's have a fantastic summer and future of 2021. Let the good times roll. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hi there, I'm Jessica from the Side Oven Bakery. I've been asked to talk to you for a few minutes to cover some of the things we've done as a business during the last year, during the pandemic, how we've adapted and survived, also how the food group has contributed and helped support our business over this period and previous to this as well. So just a quick introduction really for those who don't know our business. We're the Side Oven Bakery. We're 6th generation family farmers. We're based at the foot of the Wolds in Foston-on-the-Wolds on our organic arable farm. 16 years ago, Mum, that's Caroline Sellers, set up the bakery, and she set this up out of the farmhouse kitchen. She started making bread for farmers markets, and since then the business has developed in so many ways. Just one being myself and my sister have now come back in the last 6 and 7 years to help develop. So the business has really come on. We now supply many farm shops and premium food outlets across the UK with our range of organic products. That's both direct and to trade, and also through wholesale. A large part of the wholesale side is hospitality and catering. We run bread making courses and open days here at the farm and bakery. And we also supply customers directly through our online shop. Our main point of difference with our products is that they contain, wherever possible, ingredients grown on our farm. So our storage is really important for everything that we do. We're a bakery and we're rooted in the farm, so we're on farm. And so people can see when they come down that we grow milling wheat, and we mill it in our stone ground mill on the farm, and then it comes straight to the bakery and we make breads and granolas and all sorts of things. We also have soft fruits on the farm that we pick, and we press apple juice. So really it's ingredients grown or sourced on our family farm that are included. And in everything that we do, both on the farm and in the bakery, we try to work in a way that's sustainable for the environment. So obviously that goes hand in hand with the organic farming side, but also that's reducing our plastic packaging and everything like that. So that's really a brief introduction to us. I'll now cover how we've adapted and survived during the weird last year that has been the pandemic. So like so many other businesses, lockdown just came out of nowhere for us. 1 minute, and literally it was 1 minute, we were exhibiting at the Fine Food Show in Harrogate last March. So that was the first week of March. At that time there was kind of vague talk of the virus in China, but you know, things were still going ahead. Footfall was good. The show was, but obviously following Monday, we found ourselves in full lockdown. And as we all know, the first lockdown was the most severe. So immediately for us, 2 of our biggest customers, hospitality and catering side, just stopped. We had to cancel all our bread making courses and our upcoming open days, which are big, earners for us. Initially, our trade customers went quiet. That was only for a short period of time. But basically, a large percentage of our most profitable areas of the business just completely stopped. And we were in no different to so many other businesses. So we had to do something quickly to try and replace some of the revenue lost. Both our bakery staff were furloughed during lockdown 1 for various reasons, but we felt really as a family unit, because we've lost all these all this business had just stopped. We felt as a family unit we could just work in our own bubble and be safe as a team together. That lasted about 3 weeks, and we had to get staff back in to help because we just couldn't keep up with demand. And that demand was really, certainly initially, for the flour. So if you remember, there was a massive flour shortage. Everyone wanted home baking. Everyone was just panic buying at the time. And our organic stone ground flour range had previously only been a really small part of what we do here, but suddenly it became our best seller overnight. And we basically spent the entire summer covered in flour and frantically trying to keep up with orders. Trade outlets, after the initial quiet period, continued to support us really strongly throughout the past year. It was great to see so many farm shops and local businesses doing really well during that time and being supported by the general public. And a lot of the public who were supporting them would have otherwise shopped in the supermarkets. With the Shop Local campaign really spurred this momentum on. And the other area that's flourished for us was our online shop. Previously, this had only been a small percentage of income, like a really small percentage of income for the business. And we had actually, end of 2019, we had identified it as an area for growth for us. And purely by luck, we launched our new website a month before lockdown happened. Our new website is much more e-commerce focused, and our strategy was to really push direct to customer sales, and this should become another arm of our business. We got a grant for the website, and that helped with a percentage of the cost. We made the decision to do our website back in 2019, early 2020, and it really was because of Brexit. As people panic bought, that was the initial part of it. Our online shop orders increased dramatically, and during the last year, we've developed this in so many ways to really maximise the size of the orders. So to start with, the order size, typical panic buying, people would buy 1 bag of flour and be prepared to pay £7 delivery on that. Since then, as we've learned, we've tried to maximise those order values for the bigger orders, upselling all the time, and keeping things fresh as well, to keep loyal customers keep coming back, and they want to see something different. They want to see offers. In order to maximise our online shop, we made some significant improvements, which really helped us. So we launched new products. Now, we launched our porridge range. We were going to launch it anyway, actually, but porridge, I hadn't realised, like flour, became a staple during lockdown. And that sold really well. Even during the summer, people were buying porridge all the way through. We also put our porridge range in 100% biodegradable bags, packaging, which has been a real plus point for us, and we're really happy that we did that, and we're looking to move the rest of our range into biodegradable packaging, because even though this has all happened, the environmental concerns are still very much there, and I think people still want to choose where they can. You only have to look at the zero waste shops that are popping up and doing really well. The other thing that we launched was our fruit loaf range. And we initially had a fruit loaf already launched, and again during lockdown that went so much better than it ever had done before on our website. So then we started to develop flavour that sold really well, and we then realised that the gifting side of it, we previously hadn't gone into this at all. So then we looked at wrapping the fruit loaves as a gift wrap, so they would be sold as a gift, and they've gone really well. We've now got them to trade. The other products that we never thought we'd be putting on the website were macaroon biscuits and flapjack gift, both in little gift boxes. Macaroons were one of the best sellers up to Christmas. So yeah, we basically tried to listen to our customers and react. The other thing that we've done during lockdown, home baking became a massive thing. We knew this for our flour, but obviously reading the press, you only have to know that. Look online and it's everywhere. Bread making became a big thing. So we've tried to position our website as a home baking expert. We've experimented a little bit with that. We already had our children's bread making kits, but we kind of did them better. We're just about to launch some adult bread making kits. Again, trying to meet that demand, what people want. We have a recipe page on our website, and we are updating those with trying to keep it fresh and driving people to the recipe page, because I don't want to just keep sell. I want, you know, to give things back very much and to keep customers wanting. So it's not all just a one-way kind of dialogue with our loyal customers. We regularly email newsletters to our friends of cider ovens. So these are people who have signed up for us in some way, they've engaged with us in some way, they've bought something from us, they've come to an open day, or come to a bread making course. People bought papers more, and publications, not just papers, magazines too. So we tried a bit of advertising, particularly during the run up to Christmas. That we found that very good, and crucially Facebook advertising, very targeted, and you can do it on a tight budget, which is fantastic for us. And at the moment, so the discounting on the online shop as well. Try not to discount too much. I don't want to cheapen our products, but at the moment we're part of an East Yorkshire campaign, which is kind of riding off the back of the shop local. There's 12 producers. Yorkshire Rapeseed Oil have instigated it. They've organised it. It's been brilliant. And basically, I think it's 12 producers. We all offer this 10% discount on our website using the same code. And we found everyone loves an offer. It really did drive sales up, certainly initially, but it's up to us to keep the momentum rolling throughout the month now. But yeah, I'll definitely look at incorporating more strategic discounts throughout the year on our website. The other big change we made as a result of the pandemic was to bring back weekly bread making. Now, this is something we never thought we'd sort of have to go into again. We thought we'd left that far behind. But obviously, again, during the summer, shortage of bread on the supermarket shelves, and we simply began bread making every Friday, just really to supply bread to our local villages. It was almost like a service, because bread's basically a low value product, so we try, we deliver it as well. But the demand has been incredible, and it's continued, and we still continue to do it, and there's no sign of us stopping. We want it's become an integral part of our week now. Every Friday we bake. We offer collection from the bakery point. Obviously, we have to make it safe and have a one-in, one-out system, but we've managed that. We still deliver to local villages. We've been working in partnership with other businesses, so like I said, Yorkshire Rapeseed Oil and those others with the East Yorkshire campaign. But Rosebud Flowers from Bridlington, we're working with them. I mean, as a business in general, we've been fortunate enough to be able to react to changes and really try to listen to what our customers want and then deliver those changes quickly. We found it's this adaptability that's made it possible for our business to survive. The final part of this is really to cover how beneficial it is for us to belong to networks alongside other similar businesses. We found it so useful to feel the support of the Food Network over the years. We've made great friends and great connections as a result of being part of this group and others. It's crucial for us as a business to remain up to date with what grants are available, food regulation changes, labelling regulation changes, and national events such as Brexit and how that would affect our businesses. The networks are really useful for updating us, sending emails to update us on things like this. That kind of thing is so beneficial because actually on a daily basis, just don't have time to research all these kind of things and to know everything all the time. So actually having those kind of things coming into the inbox is so useful. The workshops that are run are also so helpful. We attended a social media workshop a little while ago. So important. I mean, social media is so important and increasingly and ever changing important area for business to really capitalise on. We took part in the Shop Local online campaign. We promoted this on social media. Shop Local as a national campaign was and continues to be very successful. I think it's been so successful because the momentum driven from so many smaller local campaigns like the VHA one, it's all had a bit of a snowball effect, which is so positive for local retail and British produce. Just regarding the steering group, and I know that Mum really values being able to have input and as to how the Food Network can really stay relevant and continue to help and add value to the local businesses. I hope this has been of some interest. As I said, it's not been plain sailing by any means, but fundamentally we've tried our best to listen to the changing needs of customers and trying to match those needs with what we've done. So thank you very much for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's great that so many of you have been able to join us. I'd like to start by thanking Katie and Jessica for sharing their experiences with us and how they have benefited from various network activities, particularly the storytelling and social media workshops held over the past 3 years. I'd also like to thank the steering group who give their time voluntarily for their continued guidance and support over the past year, which has been invaluable. Although it's been a very difficult year, it's been great to see how many of our members have adapted their businesses and come up with innovative ways to keep going throughout the pandemic. I really admire your passion and determination to succeed. I've been delighted to see that our membership has continued to increase, as businesses have appreciated all the more the benefits of working together. Over the past year, I've been busy fielding lots of individual inquiries and signposting people to different teams within the council for advice and guidance. Our members have been sharing information and experiences on the network's private Facebook group and our Twitter account. Malcolm and Sam have led networking walks along various sections of the Yorkshire World's Way to meet the rule of 6 at the time, which provided an informal way for members to network, to gain some product knowledge and sample some delicious local produce al fresco. Online storytelling and social media workshops took place leading up to Christmas, and more recently, we've started producing a new regular news bulletin. During the summer and autumn, we were able to distribute some enjoy local food and drink guides in a COVID-safe way. And we still have a supply of guides available and have produced posters encouraging people to ask for their own individual copies and stickers for the front cover, directing people to the Visit East Yorkshire website for all that's new in 2021. So what next? Following on from this event, I will be producing a bulletin with links to all the resources mentioned today. We also plan to run a programme of activity within government guidelines throughout the rest of the year, including more networking walks, visits to other members, such as local producers and attractions, and further workshops, helping us to increase our product knowledge and promote what's on offer on our doorstep for our visitors and all of us to enjoy. If anyone would like to find out more about membership of the networks, which is free, or join in our steering group, or if you would like a supply of guides for your customers, just send me a message via the chat box, or you can email me. I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with you all to maximise opportunities to help your businesses grow and the wider rural economy. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all of you the very best for the coming season. And I look forward to us being able to network in person again before too long. And finally, before I hand over to Will Hall, we're going to watch an inspirational video from Visit East Yorkshire's new website, which I'm sure you will agree captures all that is great about our area, from the stunning scenery, great outdoor activities and delicious local produce, to the amazing wildlife and fascinating heritage. Thank you. Enjoy.
We all need a special place right now. A place where you can breathe easy. Where there is space for everyone. Where families come together. Where friends are reunited. Where all that matters is what surrounds you. Where waves crash and nature thrives. Where hearts race and adventures are found. Where history and art are part of the view. Where produce is local. Where shopping is special. Where drama is everywhere. Where laughter is loud. Where love is rediscovered. Where life is reaffirmed. Where you can lose yourself in a moment and where you'll find yourself again. This is a place where holidays happen and memories are made. This is your place when you visit East Yorkshire.
Good morning, everybody. I'm William Hall. I'm the tourism manager for East Yorkshire Council, operating under the Visit East Yorkshire destination brand, which is there up on screen. We also work collaboratively in partnership with Hull through the VH Tourism Partnership. I'm going to spend 10-15 minutes today talking on tourism and particularly looking at the impact of COVID on tourism, and also looking to some of the challenges and opportunities moving forward, and particularly focusing on the staycation opportunities. Okay, so to start with, a little bit about who we are and what we do. From a tourism marketing point of view, ultimately we are sort of destination marketing for East Yorkshire. So we're focused on the marketing of the destination and managing our digital platforms, which include our new Visit East Yorkshire website and the related social media channels, as well as developing key visitor guides and the generation of PR opportunities for the area. Also part of our marketing team sit a number of business engagement officers, work closely with visitor economy businesses and communications such as our sort of Visit East Yorkshire newsletter that many of you may be receiving. Another element is our tourism events and projects team, who are ultimately responsible for the organisation and delivery of key tourism products in the region, ranging from the likes of Beverley Festival of Christmas to Walking and Outdoors Festival to the European Open Beach Fishing Championships, and ultimately putting on and supporting around 40 to 50 key tourism events annually. And that's all really about putting events on that bring people from outside of East Yorkshire into the area and bumps on beds. We also have our visitor information services, which are the Beverley and Bridleston Tourist Information Centres that deal with visitor inquiries, coach bookings, and many other sort of related services. There's then the Visit Hull and East Yorkshire Partnership, which is still very much at the forefront of tourism delivery and continues to be very active. A unique partnership made up of the two tourism teams sat within East Yorkshire Council, ourselves, and also Hull City Council, and working in partnership to deliver on key visitor economy priorities. We are the East Yorkshire arm of that partnership, and as such have recently just developed the new Visit East Yorkshire brand, and this is ultimately the visitor-facing brand that will be used for destination marketing purposes moving forward. The partnership is vital really in terms of the partnership and the engagement we have with likes of Visit Britain, and also opens up many beneficial funding opportunities and delivers many efficiencies around other things. Okay, so to start with, I wanted to paint a picture in terms of sort of the volume and value of the visitor economy in East Yorkshire. So on screen there, we have the value, which is 630 million, these are from 2019, of East Yorkshire's economy, but also there you can see with Hull's that figure is nearly amounting to 1 billion. And in East Yorkshire, that's made up of 2.6 million visitor nights and 12.2 million day trips, whilst also supporting around 13,500 jobs. So that 1 billion figure is really quite a substantial amount, and I think roughly equates to around 12% of our regional GDP. I wanted to share this graph really to demonstrate the growth of the visitor economy over the last 7 years within East Yorkshire and Hull. This is obviously pre-COVID, and we'll await to see the estimated impact in value that the pandemic has had over the next year. But this really does demonstrate the level of growth we've seen in recent years and the importance of tourism in the region. And ultimately, the positive impact in terms of job generation supported by the visitor economy, which is really quite substantial. As you can see there, with Hull and East Yorkshire jobs combined, we're about 21,000 in terms of those actual jobs in 2019. I'll flip through these slides pretty fast, but what we'll do is share presentations, I'm sure, with everybody at the end, so you can look at these further if need be. Okay, so just a little bit of a snapshot in terms of impact that COVID's had, and this data is taken from one of the most recent surveys carried out by England's Curse. So it's a good indicator for us, and a number of our businesses have sort of contributed to this survey. And if I'm just sort of flick through some of these main points, I mean, 86.7% of businesses saw a decrease in turnover in 2020, with over 50% of all businesses seeing a decrease of more than half of their annual turnover, and average decrease in turnover of 54%. Roughly 85% say that the ongoing government support will make a significant difference between ultimately the survival and collapse of businesses. So this includes the likes of the grants, the extension to the business rates relief, retention scheme, and VAT reduction. Over 50% of businesses say it will take more than a year before they return to a profit, with nearly 40% sort of quoting that they've decreased staffing levels. So the impact has obviously been huge to the visitor economy. And locally, and particularly in relation to sort of accommodation perspective, there's various challenges in terms of sort of the scale of operators. I mean, small businesses and large businesses have been hit very differently. Hotels particularly have been hit very, very hard. And I think it's really what we'll see is some interesting trends in terms of the shift from business tourism to leisure tourism. And as we move into a new way of working, I think hybrid events, lack of conferences may persist for some time. It's about sort of really needing to be flexible and pivot towards the leisure market, and businesses been flexible to do that. So that's just a real quick snapshot of that impact. I think in addition to government support such as VAT reduction and job retention scheme, etc., of which ultimately has kept many visitor economy businesses on life support over the last year, there's also some additional research around what additional support businesses want in regards to development, with new audiences and opportunities linked to the possible staycation, but also around the continuous development of digital presence. And really, it's been a time for businesses to reflect and take time to upgrade and refresh platforms and look at their own individual footprints, as well as us been doing that from a destination marketing point of view. We work very closely with our business support team at East Riding Council, offering one-to-one support where needed. But we've also just recently appointed a visitor economy business support officer to look at a programme of additional support specifically for the sector, which we're developing as we speak, but is really positive, and these are some of the areas of which we may be looking to support further. So now on to something hopefully a little bit more positive. Hopefully, if years had keywords, perhaps 2019 was Brexit, 2020 COVID, but perhaps staycation is the word of 2021, and a little bit more positive than COVID, and here's hoping anyway. So look, the staycation word comes up in most conversations currently. Is this the year of the staycation? Well, it's looking likely, and we saw a little bit of it last year in the short window that we were operating. And what I've just put up here on this slide is a bit of data from Visit Britain and their latest consumer tracker from February. So this data is actually pre the roadmap that's been set out. So this will change significantly with the next round of data, but it gives us an indication. And that is that 47% of adults are not sure if they're going to go anywhere abroad this summer. However, further into the year, they're quite confident about taking a UK trip, particularly July and September, with 50% confident there. And these figures rise to about 67% in October. And again, I would envisage these to rise even more with the new data. Now we have that roadmap. So what's putting people off international travel? Well, look, there's still that uncertainty. Where will I be able to go? There's obviously the fear of catching the virus, concerns over individual future finances. Will I keep my job, etc. So really, the opportunity for the staycation is most definitely there. And as a rural coastal destination, we really lend ourselves to the potential demand that the staycation may bring. So yes. I think another factor in that is the vaccine, and obviously, look, there's growing levels of vaccine confidence. Clearly, it stands as our main route out of this, linking through to the roadmap that's been set out. And we're seeing bits in the news with the likes of National Express stating that their inquiries are up 187% for over 65s. People are getting excited and becoming confident about what they are able to do with potentially a lot of time and money on their hands as well. What is the response and approach to staycation opportunities? Well, we're seeing a lot on experiences in regards to experiences and what people are looking for first. These local and authentic experiences, particularly where we've had a year where people haven't been able to make those memories and share those experiences with family and friends. People will want to do that when they can. And I'll come on to experiences a little more in the next slide. I think it's also about increased engagement and exposure of our countryside and coast, whether that be the daily walks, and we're seeing a lot of that certainly here in East Yorkshire, and there's lots of really positive stuff around the engagement with nature, and it's likely that that's going to continue also. We want travel to be transformative and increase well-being. There's been lots of discussions around the impact of the pandemic on mental health. And when people can travel, this will be a factor, and really people after those rejuvenating breaks with well-being at the forefront of that. I think as well there's going to be a sense of people not quite ready to go back to those crowded spaces or hotspots. So it's really, how do we utilise all of our destination as East Yorkshire, of which we've got a real vast and diverse product to spread visitors and consumers about. And then it's this balancing act of course, understanding local infection rates and local pressures, but also ensuring that we stimulate the local visitor economy by ensuring we continue to protect the residents and communities, but also ensuring that we where we can put the bums in beds and bring the day visitors back to East Yorkshire. So just back to experiences for a second. I'll just put this graph up to really show you that people are starting to choose experience first, and then follow up with the destination, and I think this is going to be an increasing and growing trend for domestic tourism markets. So it's more of, where can I go to get some great walks, or I'm interested in bird watching, wine tasting, whatever it might be, and then ultimately choosing the destination on that basis. And historically, we've tackled destination marketing focused around our 3 destination brands, which have been very, very successful, and we still have these tools and these brands and the development to use these in terms of marketing to different target markets and segments. And as you see there, in terms of Beverley, the Wolds and Bridlington, 3 really uniquely different offerings, all within the footprint of East Yorkshire. By going experience first, what we're able to do is cluster up the vastly unique and diverse offer that we've got in East Yorkshire, and lead with that experience first, and target markets and target visitor segments in this way also. We want to target, for instance, those country-loving traditionalists that have an interest in nature. Then let's cluster up that product, from the wildlife to the walks to the cycling, and let people choose their visit based on the experiences, and follow it up with the destination, and present that to them with strong captive imagery, the right messaging. All of that is really important. Ultimately, if we've got a visitor that are travelling to, I don't know, whether it be Beverley to visit the Minster, let's say, then surely they're the type of visitor that will also be interested in all of the other historical points of interest that we have in East Yorkshire. So it's about how we cluster the product up and go to those target markets and segments with the right messaging at the right time. And the new Visit East Yorkshire brand allows us to do that, to take the best of coast, countryside and our towns, and cluster that together. In a really challenging time to balance marketing of a destination during a pandemic, and obviously a big focus initially last year was around local tourism. We had a very successful Be a Local Tourist campaign that encouraged people to experience visitor attractions locally and shop local, eat local, which is going to continue to be important. What we've continued to try and do is to inspire and position our destination in the minds of potential visitors. On screen here is a couple of snippets of something from our Wow Book Now campaign, which again is focused on future bookings, summer and beyond. And ultimately, we've been proactively seeking PR for the destination and opportunities, whether it be from the Times travel supplement to bloggers, vloggers, and really continuing to develop the visibility of our offer, knowing that we've got the opportunities post-COVID that we've talked about in relation to the staycation. The staycation brings with it opportunity, not just short, medium term, but longer term also. Opportunity to reach new audiences, to service new visitors, to continue to inspire new visitors, and ultimately get those new visitors to return. If they come this year, then let's get them to come back next year and tell their friends and family. That word of mouth is extremely important. And now we have a roadmap. I think a big focus certainly for us will be looking at the campaigns for East Yorkshire and using that experience first and those brands and messages that are shown to drive those visits and off-season visits. We exceed in East Yorkshire particularly well in terms of the rest of Yorkshire and the rest of the UK for day visits. Ultimately, it's how can we convert those day visits into overnight stays, and I think a big part of that will be looking at how not only we cluster those products, but the likes of itinerary building, suggested itineraries, and turning those day visits to short breaks, to longest breaks, to 4 nights, 7 nights will certainly be part of our methodology moving forward. I think the confidence and recognition of national schemes and alignment is important. It's all about giving the visitor confidence. Anything to help to do that is a massive big thumbs up. Such as the We're Good to Go Visit England scheme, which is there up on screen. We also saw the Escape the Everyday, Enjoy Summer Safely, those national campaigns that we may align to. The timing's important, and the timing of messaging is important. As we continue to embark down the roadmap that's been set out, I think local tourism will again be important, certainly as we build towards June and summer. And people engaging with the visitor economy locally will be necessary, and we want to continue to thrive on that. Events have seen a significant impact with events just stopping overnight, and events in East Yorkshire are a huge part of our visitor economy. So the safe return of the usual annual big tourism events, but also the development of new events and products and opportunities that come there. There's lots of pent-up demand in the events industry, with the organisers and the industry itself, but then certainly with the consumers and that desire for people to want to go to events and have those experiences. There's still a lot of challenges to overcome with events, but again, that roadmap sets out that come sort of June onwards currently that we're on track to see the return of events. It's how we factor that into our planning and also our marketing to the visitor. And then I think it's ultimately how we develop and continue to support businesses locally. So as I've mentioned, we've got the fantastic business support team at East Riding with one-to-one advice, and we've got the dedicated role and resource to support the visitor economy. So we're looking at how we can roll out further support to businesses as we face these new challenges and opportunities, and be flexible with that. And on some of the Finally, on some of those sort of challenges and opportunities are ultimately around flexibility. I mean, we've all had to learn to be flexible. Extremely challenging times for everybody, personally, professionally. We're at a situation where consumers and visitor confidence is extremely low. People are very nervous. We have such a stop-start year last year. People can travel and then they can't. It's difficult for small businesses and micro businesses. We know that in terms of that flexibility, but the more we can be flexible, the more likely we are to get the repeat bookings, and particularly when we're able to reopen. And it's almost an expectation now of a consumer or a visitor that there's that sort of reassurance and that flexibility and agility that we offer. Getting the pandemic for a minute, which I know is hard to do, I think climate change and sustainable tourism is still a real area of focus. Being able to present our green credentials as a destination and as a visitor economy, and as visitor economy businesses as well, in a way to sort of give us that USP is important. So yes, it's about saving money, saving the planet, but people are wanting to travel and want to travel sustainably. what we can do to position those experiences in a really sustainable way moving forward, and that's going to certainly be a big focus of the work. And again, resilience is something we've shown in great abundance in East Yorkshire, particularly those tourism businesses. The opportunity is how we can maintain and provide a year-round offer. So I think a focus on how we can support businesses to winter-proof, autumn-proof, develop that year-round offer and be able to highlight the beauty of the seasons in East Yorkshire and weatherproof wherever possible. I know it's easier said than done. As people will eventually gain confidence to travel again internationally, we want them to still feel that the UK and East Yorkshire is a place where they can have a staycation at different times of the year, to be part of future holiday planning. So that really, I think, is a real long-term opportunity that the staycation brings. That's all from me. That's all I've got to cover today. Thank you very much for your time. Please do reach out to us if you have any questions. I've put the email there up on screen. The team are more than happy to speak on a one-to-one basis with anybody, whether it be our tourist information centres or our marketing officers. Also, if you haven't already, please do sign up to our Visit East Yorkshire newsletter, where we're providing industry sort of updates and updates around our activities. So please do that if you haven't already. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome onto our virtual stage. And I'd like to welcome onto that stage Councillor Burton, Katie, Jessica, Julia and Will, who you've just heard from. I've got a few questions for them, which you've kindly put through the question and answer interface on the page. And this is a question for Katie, Jessica and Councillor Burton, with Councillor Burton wearing your business hat on, if you would be so kind. For all three of you, in your own different ways, what is the top of mind at the moment regarding going forward in your business over the next few weeks and months? And can we go to Katie first on that, please?
Hi, David. Well, at the moment, we're really keen to get the restaurant open. We've been working with our new executive chef, developing a new menu. That's really exciting. So we're going to be opening outside from the 12th of April. That's really in the forefront of our minds, but we are actually working on Christmas as well, with Christmas parties and events. We have a big Mamma Mia event, and capturing the corporates as well, planning ahead for Christmas. On top of that, we're going to be doing more themed seasonal festivals. For example, we're going to be planting up a small pumpkin field for Pick Your Own, and doing tasting events with wines and gins, working alongside our menus. We are still introducing more merchandising, new displays and products in the farm shop. We've got more going on the deli. We've got a great big new wine offering. And what else are we doing? Accommodation wise, for the holiday cottages, we have bookings coming in for those staycations. We're noticing that movement now, but we are also just about to start a 2-year project developing accommodation out of a sort of old farm and building site for long-term residential lets, and possibly 1 and 2 night accommodation, which will then support the manor rooms for those wanting to stay over for weddings and events. So there's lots going on here. But yes, at the moment I've been working on Christmas menus this morning. Can you believe it? And Freddie's working on pumpkins, Helen's working on the wine display. So we're all working on different areas every day at the moment.
Okay. Thank you. And the same question really to Jessica then.
Hi there. Well, we're really looking towards Easter next. So the gifting side and working with other businesses in collaboration for various things, different recipes, different products and different offerings on our website. And then further forward to Father's Day, and then hopefully open farm events in the summer as and when we're allowed, and other events and festivals, and it will just depend what happens this summer. And then again, we'll be looking towards Christmas as well. In the interim before that, though, hoping that the catering side will open up again, looking towards refill shops and the catering side for the retail as well. So yeah, lots of exciting things planned really for the rest of the year.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. And if I can come to Councillor Burton for a few thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, David. On business hat wise, well, I mean, I have a holiday cottage complex, an art gallery and a tea room, so it's really very much in the mix, and I'm near to Bempton Cliffs. What we're concentrating is being open safely, being able to reassure our customers that they're going to be able to open, so safer stays is absolutely key for us, and understanding the roadmap and knowing what other businesses are going to be open, because it's about giving experience to our customers when they come as well, and recognizing we're going to be ambassadors really in a way for everybody else. And so having a network like this where we understand what others have got to do and what your offer is going to be so important, because when people come, we know there's going to be a limit to what they can do. I mean, firstly, I think the target date we're working towards, self-catering in bubbles, family bubbles, is going to be around the 12th of April. Well, of course, that's going to be very limited as to what other opportunities are for people. So making sure that we can give the maximum opportunity to our guests we possibly can during that time. So we're going to be doing a lot of signposting during that period, and having a real understanding of yes, the wider mix, and giving people as much a really positive experience as they possibly can, and being aware of what's the latest news, what it is, so they can go and experience it. And I've just heard today that the first puffins have arrived at Bempton Cliffs, so that's hot off the press by anybody's catering. So anybody that fancy bird watching, there's never a better time to come than from the 12th of April, when it's safe to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Sort of flowing from that, actually, and a question for Will now, please. Local residents, as we've heard, have been so supportive over the last year to our businesses. What can we do specifically, or what is VHA doing to sort of expand on that over the next few weeks and months, Will?
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, it's a really good question, and from a destination marketing point of view, but obviously in normal terms, our marketing is focused on those people outside of East Riding, travelling in. But I think what we've seen in terms of the opportunity through this pandemic is the awareness of what we've got on our doorstep. Again, people haven't been allowed to travel, haven't been able to sort of lead. But I think what that's made people do is inwardly look at what is on my doorstep. I think that's an opportunity that we need to continue to develop and drive. And as I just referred in my presentation, we did a really successful Locally Yours, Be a Local Tourist campaign last year that was sort of superseded by the Shop Local and Buy Local. And I think that's going to continue. And I think we wrap that up in a lot of our messaging as we concurrently sort of work our way out of the pandemic. I think there's still going to be a massive reluctance to travel. And that local tourism is going to be massively important. I think just a point to note on that as well is through the reopening of the high streets safely funding, I think there'll be some communications as well about that key word really that Councillor Burton just said there is confidence, in giving local people and visitors eventually confidence to travel to East Yorkshire, and confidence to visit shops and restaurants and cafes and all of our wonderful places once they're able to open. So yes, I think that's going to be integral, certainly as we work our way out of this.
Okay, thank you very much, Will. And a final question for this session for Julia. There's so much going on at the moment, Julia. How can our network members keep in touch with the sheer pace of what's happening?
Thank you, David. I think the easiest way really is we're now producing a new sort of regular bulletin, and it's a case of people knowing how to access that, because it's got different email address to my email address before. So, but I'll let people know about that later. VHA are also producing a similar regular bulletin as well. So between us, we should be able to cover a lot of the information. And also through the social media, really, through our private Facebook group and the Twitter account as well. And just one thing that cropped up as well that I noticed over the weekend, that Barbara had posted a lovely new Bridlington video on our Facebook page. The one, I'm sure you agree, the one we saw earlier was brilliant, really inspiring, and it's a really lovely video of Bridlington through the eyes of one of the artists in the old town as well. So that could be on the Visit East Yorkshire social media sites and things, so people can share that as well. Sorry, just thought I'd add that in.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all very much indeed for those answers. I think now we're going to go to a refreshment break, which is going to be a video that we're going to watch. It's an opportunity to stretch your legs as well. And then I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Thank you very much.
In the East Riding, we're really blessed with lots of places to visit in the countryside. You know, lots of nature reserves, some brilliant beaches, disused railway lines. We've also got some amazing countryside walks for people to enjoy. So we're trying to encourage people to visit the website, choose a walk that you'd like to do. Print the map off if you want to print it, or you can just download it to your phone or to your tablet so you've got it with you at all times. Obviously, if you're going out into the countryside, there are some important messages about, you know, keeping safe and leaving gates as you find them. Obviously, take your litter home, pick up if your dog fouls, and keep your dog under close control. So on your walking the riding walks, we've got some amazing wildlife in the East Riding. They've got the coastal walks where you might be looking to see a puffin, or if you come into the Yorkshire Wolds, then you'll be sure to see the red kite and buzzers flying around.
Welcome back. I hope the first session has helped you to get a sense of the very powerful and accessible resources that are available for you to plug into to help grow your business. This next session is designed to showcase and remind ourselves of the continually improving and wonderful opportunities we have in the area for our visitors to get involved with and enjoy. Our four speakers will between them cover all the bases: the great outdoors, heritage, nature tourism, and local food. Again, this will be followed by a panel question and answer session, so keep those questions coming. After this, I will invite Councillor Aitken to wrap up the event with a few closing thoughts. Meanwhile, I'm delighted to welcome Malcolm Hodgson of the Yorkshire Wolds Way to start us off. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Malcolm Hodgson here from Yorkshire Wolds Way National Trail. And I've been given the fairly long title of discovering the amazing chalk landscapes and dry valleys on the Yorkshire Wolds Way. So let me run through a few things with you now. I'm sure you all know all about the Yorkshire Way and where it runs, but no harm in recapping anyway. So 79 miles, all the way from near Hull, Tezel, through across the fantastic Yorkshire Wolds, through to Filey on the coast. One of 16 national trails in England and Wales, and the national trails, of course, they are designated as such because of the outstanding landscapes through which they pass, and of course Yorkshire Wolds is one of those. Before going into some of the detail, I want to just talk about last year, 2020, and obviously how the COVID has impacted on us on the National Trail, and actually the countryside as a whole, to be fair, because we had some amazing figures from our people counters, and you can see there our 2020 figures across our 4 counters on the trail showed huge numbers compared to normal. And of course, that was because of the lockdown that we faced, the lack of other opportunities for people to go elsewhere. Actually has been a major boost for the countryside, bringing with it some of its issues as well. But if you look there at our Lonsborough counter, for example, we had twice as many people out on the trail last year as we would normally have, which is absolutely amazing and fantastic. Of course, that hasn't necessarily translated into returns for tourism, because these were very much local people or day visitors, but not overnight stays. And of course, we hope as we see lockdown finish and a return to normal, or we hope to see a return to normal, that we may have encouraged some of these people who are new to walking and have visited the countryside to come and stay on the Yorkshire Wolds Way. That's what we really hope to see. As I said, it brought some issues with it because we have new audiences using the route, which is fantastic overall. We're absolutely delighted, but we need to spread the message of the countryside code so that people, when they're using the Yorkshire Wolds Way and other trails, try to do so with respect for the countryside and the people who live in our area. Bringing us now through to the main subject area behind the talk, it's about discovery of our fantastic landscapes on the Yorkshire Wolds Way. What we were able to do last year, working with the COVID restrictions in place, was to offer to businesses a chance to get out on our trail on our walk and talk days. And that is a really simple concept, really. And that's to take people on a short walk on the Yorkshire Wolds Way, to show what fantastic landscapes that we have to travel through, which is something that they can then tell their own guests and visitors of the experiences that they can enjoy on the trail. We finish each of our short walks with a visit to a cafe. So again, they discover other businesses that are available to promote, and we enjoy a tea and cake. And it's a very informal session. It's just a great chance to network and to chat about the issues that everyone's facing, and as I say, to learn a little bit about the Yorkshire Wolds Way as well. Now, we held them last year at Lonsborough, at Huggett, and also at Hunmanby. And we are offering these again this next year through the Rural Tourism Network, because they were very successful. People seem to really enjoy them, and we'd like to keep doing it. So I do hope you'll take the opportunity to sign up and join us on one of our walk and talk days this year. I was just going to run through a few of the resources that we have available on the Yorkshire Wolds Way for people, just as a reminder, really. We have our Trails website. I say new, it's probably about a year old now, which details all the national trails. And I look after the section for the Yorkshire Wolds Way. And that has lots of sources of information for people. It has, again, details on accommodation, on services, and it also has itinerary suggestions for people who maybe just want to do a few days on the trail, how they can enjoy those particular sections. We also have had for a number of years our Top 10 Trails website, and this is aimed at day walkers rather than long distance users, and perhaps people who are staying in self-catering in the area when they're looking for ideas of where can I go for a walk in the Yorkshire Wolds. And this has just 10 great walking routes that people can download and print off and enjoy. But I should mention here, many people are aware of it, but it's worth noting, another great resource for walks on the Yorkshire Wolds and East Yorkshire as a whole is the Walking the Riding website, which East Riding Countryside team put together. And there are hundreds of walks on there which people can download again and take up and enjoy. So that's worth looking at as well. We produce an accommodation information guide as a PDF download, and we produce that every 2 years on the trail. And this is the new one, which is just about to go out and be available through the website. Now, I'm hopefully we have listed everyone that we're aware of for accommodation and cafes. There may be some issues, of course. We don't know if everyone will be opening up as usual as we again come out of COVID with the roadmap and the lockdown. So we may have to alter it as we go along. But if you want to check you're in the guide, then please feel free to get in touch with me. Finally, on the resources, we have our business toolkit. We've had this for a number of years now. And there are some great tips in there on ways that we can work together with opportunities for businesses to promote the Yorkshire Wolds Way, and in such a way be promoting themselves as well. So the business toolkit is well worth downloading, and again, you can get in touch with me if you haven't got a copy of that. Okay, so the final part of my talk today is to talk about the Yorkshire Wolds Way promotional film. Now, for many years, we've been wanting a film to promote the Yorkshire Wolds Way. It's something that we haven't had. And last year, I got in touch with a fantastic company in York called Arillo and asked them if they'd be willing to make a film for us. And indeed they were. They're passionate about the countryside. And they were very keen to help us and gave us a very good rate on producing a very professional film for us. They brought in actors to play the lead roles within the film. That's Jack and Mel, you can see on the picnic blanket there, who come up from London and spent a couple of days filming on the trail. We used a lot of local businesses who were really helpful to us in the process of filming. We could have done better with the weather. It could have been a little bit sunnier than we got, but actually when you see the film, you'll realize it really didn't matter because the film speaks for itself. It's absolutely superb. It's about 2.5 minutes long. We're really keen that people share it and promote it themselves to help promote themselves. We will use it in exhibitions and events and on our social media and on our websites, but we encourage everyone to use it wherever they can. Now, what's really special is that today is our premiere of the film. This is its first official showing. It's 2.5 minutes long. So I'll finish my talk today with telling you to relax. If you've got popcorn handy, grab hold of it, turn down the lights, sit back, and I really do hope that you will enjoy our new promotional film. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi.
Hello. Race, yeah?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex. I'm the Heritage Project Officer for the Quarry to Country Park Heritage Project. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we've been doing for the last couple of years. So the project's main aim is to reveal the hidden natural, industrial and social heritage of the Humber Bridge Country Park, which is a place known to many in the locality as Little Switzerland. We're in the final year of the project, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we've been working on. So just to give you a little bit of background, prior to opening in 1986, the site, now occupied by the country park, operated as a chalk quarry for at least 700 years. And that's how the landscape of the park that you can see today, that's how it was created. And the chalk cliffs were largely worked by hand using pickaxes and crowbars. The quarried chalk was then loaded on board horse-drawn trams, which you can see in this image, and it was then carried down to the foreshore. At the foreshore, it was loaded from wharves and jetties onto barges and keels. It was sent inland to the industrial areas of the West Riding and Lancashire. It's mainly used as rubble for roads and building foundations. It was also shipped overseas as far as San Francisco in California. The chalk that wasn't shipped out, much of it was processed in the whiting mills that were on the foreshore. And you can see to the right of this image, the windmill, and that's the tower of the windmill still stands today on the foreshore. The building on the left is actually incorporated into what is now the Country Park Inn, but this is what the foreshore looked like around a century ago, so quite heavily industrialized. In the late 19th century, the parts of the quarry started falling into disuse as quarrying activity moved further inland, and greenery, wildlife, nature returned to the site. And on the back of this, local Victorians would visit the site, enjoy some leisure and recreation on a weekend, exactly the same as we do today, a century on. And the site got the name Little Switzerland. And this was largely because of the white chalk cliffs which surrounded the quarry, the steep wooded slopes, and people, kind of had this romantic idea that it was like the Swiss Alps. So in order to tell some of these stories, we've created a brand new heritage trail called the Chalk Walk. The route of the trail runs from the top car park of the Humber Bridge into the country park, through the railway and roadway underpasses, and out onto the foreshore, into a brand new plaza area. And the trail continues on 5 levels inside the mill, which has been extensively refurbished as part of the project. The outdoor part of the trail is currently open and accessible to visitors, but the mill is closed, unfortunately, until May the 17th, when we are able to reopen. Julia thought it might be a nice idea if I was to give you a little sneak preview of what you can expect to see inside of the mill. And up on the top floor, we have an audio-visual presentation that you'll be able to view when you visit. And you'll be able to meet two historical characters whose lives were once connected with the mill. So I'll give you a little sneak preview of that AV now.
Morning. I'm Mr. Harefield, William Harefield. I understand you're interested in me chalk. Aye, well, you've picked a day for it. There's a shipment leaving the jetty this afternoon, so there's a large order being processed. They've been carting the stuff from the quarry in double quick time this week to make up the order. It's for Story, Whitty and Co. He's not buying me chalk, no, he's buying whiting. Whiting, it's the stuff we make from the chalk. It goes into his paints and then he sells it to merchants who supply the decorating trade. A lot of building work going on in Hull right now, so business is good. Aye, well, the quarry is that way, and the mill is that way, and the jetty too, of course, which is on the foreshore. But that's no mistake, you know. Oh, no. It's all part of the grand plan. Shall we? Well, you see, my father started this business in 1833. He went into partnership with a chap called Steele. They leased a quarry, and they became quarry masters. Not bad going for a general labourer, hey? Aye? General labourer he was, but he was ambitious and he wanted to better himself. I haven't always looked like this, you know. Oh, no. We had it tough growing up. And like I said, my father was a labourer. He worked hard, long hours, and he was poorly paid. But he dragged himself up the ladder. You know, he couldn't even read or write, but he became a gentleman. A gentleman. If he could see me now, he'd laugh. Things were different back then, you see, though. He was a lime merchant. He burned lime, but he mainly supplied chalk rubble for foundations in roads and large building projects. He'd be amazed to see how much it's expanded. I haven't come from the quarry, no, I've come from the office. Well, I've come from home, but that's where the office is. Cliff House up on the top in Ezel. Anyway, let's have a look at the mill, shall we? I know it's old-fashioned and a bit slow, but it's cost-effective and, well, I like watching the sails go around. You see, there's 5 sails. Unusual, that is, 5 sails. You'd normally have 4. Most flour mills around here have 4 sails. Because, well, you see, if you lose one, you can take the opposite sail off and run her on 2. But you can't do that with 5. But 5 is, apparently, more efficient. Marshall's have a steam mill. It runs on coal. He laughed when I bought this. He said I was going backwards. I've proved him wrong. I have no fuel costs, you see. It runs on fresh air. And there's more of that than I need. And it's free. Come on. Some people think this is a flour mill. They've never heard of a whiting mill, you see, so they just assume that white stuff coming out the other side is flour. But there's more to life than bread and biscuits, although my children might disagree. No, you can't underestimate the importance of what we do here. You see, whiting is in so many things, and that's one of the strengths of the business. We have so many different customers. Oh, you see, it's in paints, putties, building products, like I mentioned earlier. It goes into linoleum, that's this new type of floor covering that's all the rage now. It can be mixed with linseed oil, you see, and the banks of the River Hull are lined with linseed oil mills. But the thing that surprises most people is your everyday uses, you know, such as your detergents, cleaning powders, pastes and cleaning stones. It's even in tooth powder. Shall we have a look inside? Now, this mill was built in the early 1800s and I bought it at auction about 8 years ago. And it's pretty much the same now as it was back then. It still uses the same old technology for processing whiting. Now, some would say it's a bit slow and outdated, but it's a simple process and there's not much can go wrong. You see, the chalk is brought from the quarry in a horse-drawn cart, it's crushed in here, and then it's settled, and then it's dried in the drying sheds. out there. But best of all, it only takes 6 men plus my foreman to run it. Not like that rabble down at the quarry. There's 10 times that many down there. Mind you, it's our bread and butter, that is, unprocessed chalk. It's what we've been dealing in for the past 30 odd years. It's the mainstay of the business. Now, if you're happy going up ladders, we can have a look at the top. Now, if you look out there, you can see the river. And just down there is our jetty. Now, I had that built in '64, just 2 years after buying the mill. And like I said, it's all part of the grand plan. Now, my father started this business, but I'm building it into something bigger. We've got 2 quarries now, but I'm looking at buying more. And now we've got the full process, we get more profit per tonne of chalk. Makes sense. Now I'm in control of what happens to me chalk, where it goes, and how it gets there. And I don't just mean up the river to Hull. No, I mean all over the world.
Well, thanks for listening about the project and watching the short film. I hope you enjoyed it. So just a reminder that the mill will open hopefully on May the 17th. In the meantime, we're actually producing a virtual tour of the mill that's in production at the moment, and you'll be able to catch that on our Humber Bridge Country Park Facebook page and on the Museums, Libraries and Archives YouTube channel. Thank you.
Hi, thanks very much for inviting us along, and I'm just going to update on what's been happening with Yorkshire Wildlife Trust in the past few months and what our plans are for the few months ahead. As you can imagine, and as many of you will already know, it's been an incredibly challenging time for any of us who have open green spaces, as while many other sites have been closed. Our nature reserves have actually remained open, with 1 or 2 exceptions in the south where we were able to actually close them down. What this has meant is we've had a huge increase in pressure on the sites, and that pressure has manifested itself occasionally into some unintentional vandalism and disturbance, and very, very occasionally into more intentional work. But most of what we've seen, 95% of the problems we've had have been unintentional, with just people who are not used to coming to nature reserves, coming to them in the same way they would to an open green space, say a local public park or something like that. And because of the stay local message, what we've seen is sites which normally would expect very small numbers of people have had much greater pressures on them. It's caused both problems for the sites themselves, but also for local communities where you may have more cars parking up and blocking roads and things like that. So that has been the big challenge for us in the past year. So now as we think about, and when I say reopening, obviously, as I say, our sites have been open anyway, but it's thinking about as people are free to come out of lockdown, travel more, we're starting to try to anticipate where we think we'll see more pressure, the sites that will have more demand, and what that will mean. So it'll be a further increase in that pressure and further likelihood, especially in spring when we have a lot of nesting birds and other sort of animals in their usual spring routines, that there is a much greater potential for really damaging disturbance, even though it's been done accidentally. So one of the ways in which we're aiming to tackle this is by having on many of our sites a volunteer wardening scheme. These wouldn't be wardens in the sense of a security presence. These are wardens who will be there to engage with members of the public as they arrive, talk to them about our key messages, talk to them about what a nature reserve is, what it's there for, how it's the home for nature first, people second, and that we are effectively guests in it. That's why we have paths. That's why we enforce things like keeping dogs on leads and trying to get that engagement with that idea. And we will just have to see how that works as we go through it. On one of our sites where we were able to close elements of it is at Spurn Point. So the actual reserve itself has stayed open the entire time, but the Discovery Centre has been closed as it's treated as a cafe, shop, retail space. And so we have been closing that down. As we come out of this, from March the 29th, we will resume a takeaway service. And then from the April date, we will start to open up other functions. And then in May, we will open up further to indoor catering and for people to be able to go and see the Discovery room in the Discovery Centre. But all of this will obviously be flexible based on the guidance that comes along, and we will have to respond as we see that. In terms of our events program, it's been a really difficult year for our events staff because they have, broadly speaking, spent a lot of it on furlough, not doing the jobs that they're used to doing, and they're feeling obviously a little bit uncertain. For some programs, such as our Nature Friendly Schools program, that has actually continued right through because we were doing work with teachers, which could be done remotely, and we were doing work in school grounds, which actually perfectly safe to continue even with COVID restrictions during lockdowns. So as we think about coming out of it, we're going to have a much smaller program, which will be launched digitally later this month. And that program will focus on smaller numbers and a very few number of hopefully high quality events. Some of our other stuff will move online. So the Puffin Festival, which we had to postpone completely last year, will return this year, but will be predominantly focused on being an online event. We will make some trails and things available that people can then take away with them. And we're also bringing back this year our Great Yorkshire Creature Count. This was something we introduced last year during the first stages of the pandemic and was about getting people to count what they could see in their own garden over a weekend. And it was amazing the results this returned. Tens of thousands of people took part. We recorded over 13,000 different individual species, which was a really great representation of just how important our garden spaces are for biodiversity. At North Cave Wetlands, which is a site which obviously everybody on here knows pretty well, we have been able to carry on the restoration work. And the picture that I'm showing here may not look particularly impressive, but this is actually reed bed being moved from the existing reed bed nursery on the site to the new reed bed that is being created as part of the Northwest extension. And even though it may look scrappy now, in another year or two, as all these reeds take, this will turn into a big healthy reed bed that will be home, we hope, to all manner of interesting species. And off there are the new islands, which will be home to breeding species such as avocet and little ringed plover. They're our real key target species. And actually, even though this restoration work wasn't complete, last year 17 pairs of avocet nested on those islands anyway. So when we've actually made them suitable for them, hopefully we'll see even more. One thing we are considering is whether we delay the opening of this extension to the public. We were originally planning to open this spring, as it fits with the 75th anniversary of the Wildlife Trust's foundation, and it fits with the 20th anniversary of North Cave Wetlands. But because we want to allow that site, that new extension to the site, time to properly settle in, we may push back and not open this to the public until spring 2022. Finally, for East Riding, of interest is obviously Flamborough. 100,000 people go through the area every year. This could be higher this year as we see a lot more staycations. And we're trying to be ready for that by thinking about the way in which we do visitor engagement. So what we aim to have in place by late spring is a new set of interpretation boards which better introduce people to the site, because I think if you go to Flamborough versus going to somewhere like Bempton, I think you don't get the full flavour of what is actually going on at Flamborough. So we're going to aim to open up a bit more interpretation there to get more people engaged with the nature. The other thing that was postponed last year was the proposed extension to the nature reserve. That land is obviously identified for it. It was identified through the planning process. The permissions are all there. We just need actually the time and space to be able to start that work. And hopefully, if not this spring, then certainly this autumn, that work to restore that land, to create that new extension, should be able to take place. That, I hope, gives you a flavour of what we've been up to. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Magnus Johnson. I'm part of Northern Shores along with James Wood, and we've been asked to help develop a strategy to unlock the potential for the local fishing industry to market more locally, and to help develop the image of Bridlington Bay as a lobster town. So compare that to Cornish pasties, Melton Mowbray pies, and Cromer crab. We would like to see Bridlington lobster sit in that vein. So historically, of course, Bridlington used to be an almost exclusively whitefish port, and a kind of shift occurred in the 1990s to 2000s for a variety of reasons. Now it's almost exclusively shellfish, lobster and crab. And Bridlington now is the lobster capital of Europe. It lands 300 tons of lobster. It landed 300 tons of lobster in 2019 with a first sale value of at least £4 million. Most of the lobster that's landed into the town is destined for Europe, and the industry's got a fairly low profile locally. If you want to eat frozen lobster, if you want to buy a lobster tail in a packet, you're more likely to be buying Canadian lobster from Aldi. And we think that's a bit of a tragedy. So I'm probably teaching people to suck eggs here a little bit, but I just thought we should cover this briefly. So if we think about East Riding tourism, we get about 800,000 overnight stays, and on average they're spending about £50 a night. We get 9.3 million day visits, an average spend of just under 40 quid. 56% of tourists that come are repeat visitors. So there's obviously something attractive about Bridlington that brings people here. And a lot of people are coming from over a 2-hour radius. And that's a market that the town obviously would like to exploit more and see more people coming from further away. They're more likely to stay overnight, they're more likely to spend more money. And if somebody's traveling for 2 hours, they come to Bridlington for something. They want to enjoy something. So in the case of rural tourism, about 35% of the spend that people have is on food and drink. In Cornwall, about 80% of people that visit there are influenced. The reason they visit there is along with the sort of quaint towns and the beautiful scenery, is the food and drink offer. About 40% of people that come to Bridlington expressed a view that said they would like to see better quality food and drink options in the Bridlington area. Now, for every sort of £10 spent on food and drink in Bridlington, the multiplier effect means that that's about £25 going into the local economy. Now, the sort of iconic dish that's associated with seaside towns along the Yorkshire coast is fish and chips. And that's, of course, a historic artifact. As I said previously, whitefish is no longer landed along this coast. And if you're eating fish and fish and chips, it's very likely that the fish comes from Scotland or Iceland or Norway. But with the advent of sort of cooking shows and celebrity chefs, people are expecting more interesting and high quality offers. And we would like to see Bridlington tapping into the opportunity for using lobster, a local product, and using that as part of the marketing strategy. So if you look internationally, if you look at places that have sort of adopted this kind of strategy elsewhere, you find that places like Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia, 45% of the people that visit eat lobster. So that's a local product. So it's a direct input to local economy. They have seen an increase in the number of people that stay overnight, and they've seen an increase in the number of people visiting from overseas, because that reputation for lobster is spreading the reputation of the town. And they've seen a 30% uplift in spend for outdoor and food tourists. The key differences are in Canada and America, lobster's sold. It's not sold as a live product so much as a pre-prepared product. So it's frozen or it's a prepared market. But people are attracted to Nova Scotia because of that lobster icon, but also a host of other lobster-related assets, from the boats in the harbour to the seaside bars and the cafes, the history of the area and the fishery, and the natural history, and a whole host of lobster merchandise that goes along with this identity. So if you go to Maine or Nova Scotia and you walk down the main street along the sort of by the harbour, there are shops all the way along there that sell a variety of different merchandise, and it's just lobster themed. You can go to shops there and they just sell lobster toys, key rings, t-shirts, tea towels, a host of different things. So some University of Hull consultants from business school went and looked at Maine and Nova Scotia, and then came back to Bridlington and compared what they found there with what happens in Brid. And it's very clear that there's a very different approach in the two locations. I think Bridlington or East Riding Council have enlightened the way of fishing and realised that it's actually an asset that needs to be got hold of, and we need to make good use of in order to improve the marketing of the town. So they identified that there were key differences in the way that places like Maine sell themselves and Bridlington sells itself. It's clear there's gaps and in our offer that merit some sort of investigation. We need to have a look and see what we do and compare it to these places and try to work out what can we do to raise the profile of this industry locally, and work out whether it's actually, will it help sell the town? Will it attract more visitors to the area? We're not Maine or Nova Scotia though, and we need to think about a way of marketing ourselves that chimes with people like you, local stakeholders, because if we can't get you on board, then it's just not going to be successful. So lobster is a badge, an identity that suits lots of people. Foodies, people interested in nature. The fishery is viewed as sustainable, and there are lots of fun tourism products that are associated with it. You know, face masks and key rings, just to give you two examples. So in order for it to be successful, we need to look at a whole load of components to make Bridlington a food destination. We need to look at the food that's on offer, and we need to think about what can we do with lobster that will make it something that fits the town. We need to look at the local supply chain. You know, how do we set up a supply chain that will, instead of sending lobster off to Italy and Spain, will be suitable for local marketing? Do we need to change from live lobster through to sort of frozen lobster, and other times that we can do that, other ways that we can do that that are advantageous? We also have to think about how does this kind of lobster strategy interact with the hospitality sector. And of course, sitting above it all, we need to have a brand. We need to develop a brand. So I would like to see, as soon as you get off a train, you come to Bridlington, you get off the train or you park in the car park, you see a lobster somewhere. There's a sign somewhere, and you're immediately sort of keyed into this, this identity. And that brand has to be, so it needs to be recognizable. It needs to be something that can seep into many aspects of the town's character. So we need to think about things like developing street food using lobster instead of just this whole live lobster product. Not everybody wants to eat a whole live lobster. They just want some chunks. So, I mean, think about the success of langoustine, scampi. So scampi goes from pub grub to posh nosh. You can go and have a cheap, nutritious meal in a pub and thoroughly enjoy it, or you can go out to a posh restaurant and you can have 2 or 3 big langoustine and pay a premium price for a real quality product. We need to move away from the current market locally, which is sort of live and whole cooked, and try and find some products that we can develop that will be unique maybe to Bridlington and that people will remember, and it will make people come back again. So we from looking at other places, we can see that this is an example of Nova Scotia, where they have this lobster, they call it a lobster crawl, and you can see how lobster is infiltrated into all sorts of bits of the town. And so there's packages that involve being taught how to cook a lobster. You can go to a nice restaurant and have posh food, or you can go to you can have lobster rolls from a street eatery. There's tours and experiences for people going out on lobster boats to find out all about lobsters. How are they caught? What's the biology of it? There's a lobster hatchery like we have in Bridlington, you know, so people can really engage with all the different aspects there. So they've developed, in this area, they've developed year-round seasonal attractions. That means that people are coming to visit to find out about lobster all year round, and we can extend the season from just that short summer season and extend the shoulder months. They've found that they've got an increased visitor stay and spend per head. And I've mentioned the lobster crawls already. It's this idea that you can, so this takes people away from the centre of the town into other parts of Bridlington Bay. And by developing this strategy, we can make Bridlington appear to a broader audience than perhaps it does currently. So key to all this, of course, is to have the involvement of the fishing industry. People quite often don't realise when they go to visit a coastal town that the fishing industry is an integral part of that attraction. They don't think about it, you know. But if you go and you look at Bridlington in the summer, and you'll see people all around the harbour. You remember what Filey was like 10, 15 years ago, when there was still a viable fishing fleet there. You could not move for tourists when the boats were being pulled up the slipway. So we need to look at ways of opening up the fishing industry in Bridlington so that it's more available to tourists if we can. What infrastructure do we need to put in place? Is there anything we can do to help there? And one of the things that's key as well is we need to think about how the marketing strategy works. We don't want to have any sort of branding that conflicts with current branding. I mean, in the past, we've had this situation where when a lot of lobsters being sent abroad, we don't want to interfere with the identity that they have there, which is a successful identity. But we want to have something local that really helps sell the product here. So over the next 12 weeks, this is an initial look-see to see what sort of things we might need to do and what sort of advice we can get from local industry. We'll be contacting people, so expect a phone call or an email. We want to understand what your business needs and priorities are, and how you feel about this as a marketing strategy. And we want your advice on the branding that we might use. We've got some ideas and we'd like to share them with you, and we'd like to see, we want feedback. Critical feedback's great. Anything that where if you say that's not going to fly, we want to know that. And then we want to find out what sort of barriers there might be to making this strategy work. And the more we can understand those, the more we can look for solutions. And we're really interested in anybody's ideas for what products or attractions or things that we could do locally, what seasonal events could we tie into that would be of interest to people coming to visit the town and going to increase the success of Bridlington as a tourist destination when we come out of COVID. Thank you very much for your attention. If you want to contact me, that's the email for all three of us. So it's admin@northernshores.co.uk, and you can expect to get a response from either James or Anna or myself. We'd be very pleased to hear from you. So please do get in touch. Thank you.
Welcome back to our final session. I'd like to invite Malcolm, Alex, David and Magnus onto the stage for a panel Q&A. And Councillor Aitken is in the wings waiting to come on with a few closing remarks. One question I've got here for all of you really, if you could just reflect on any general advice we should give when we are recommending places to visit and things to do to our visitors and customers over the next few weeks and months. What would you suggest we focus on when we're talking to our customers and visitors about visiting places of interest? And can I start with you, Malcolm?
I think it's about planning ahead, really, David. I think we've got lots of resources out there. We've seen today lots of websites, the East Yorkshire website, Yorkshire World's Way, Walking the Riding. There's lots of really good information if people plan ahead and think a little bit about where they might be going. And I think in terms of the countryside, at this sort of early stage of coming out of lockdown, it's probably important to think about whether you want to go to busy sites, or if places are busy, then move on to quieter places. That will change, I guess, as we kind of get further down the line towards the end of June, July, summer. But in these early stages, it's thinking about the quieter spots, I think.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. And the same question really to Alex.
Yeah, I mean, really just to echo what Malcolm said, I think it's important to stay tuned to online announcements, social media. We at the Humber Bridge Country Park have an e-newsletter as well, where you can get all of the latest information on how we'll be opening the mill, when we'll do it, how we will open, any restrictions that will be in place. We've also on our website as well, we'll be making announcements on the community and family events and adult learning sessions that we will have coming up. It's a little bit touch and go when and how we'll be able to deliver those. But really, yeah, just stay tuned, and as Malcolm said, you can kind of plan ahead as best you can.
Okay, thank you very much. David?
I would say be sensible and be respectful. I think the behaviour patterns we're going to see as people come out of lockdown, I think, are very unpredictable. I think it's very hard to say what will be quiet, what will be busy, where will be busy. So what I would say is the be sensible bit is, if you get somewhere and it looks like it's really crowded already, don't just cram in as well. Think about going somewhere else. And it comes to Malcolm's point about being prepared. Have a couple of backup options so you can try other options. And then the be respectful is just remember you're in people's communities. If you're in nature reserves, you're in nature's homes. And actually, you know, when you are in those spaces, bear that in mind and treat them the way you would want somebody to treat your own home, your own place of work.
Okay, thank you, David. Magnus, is there much to see in terms of the lobster attraction at the moment?
So I'm a marine biologist, so I would say I echo the comments of the previous speakers, and planning ahead is essential. If you come into the seaside, have a look at the tide tables before you come, and make sure you come at the time that you want to come. If you come in to do a bit of rock pulling, you want the tide to be out. So if you're going to Flamborough Head, for example, and you want to go and do a bit of rock pulling there, make sure the tide's out. If you want to see the fantastic spectacle of all the boats coming in and landing lobster and crab in Bridlington, then you need to wait for sort of half tide, 3/4 tide on the way up, because the boats can't get in through the entrance when the tide is out. So yeah, I'd say I think the advice from the previous guys is absolutely spot on. Tell people to be prepared.
Yep. Okay. Good advice from you all there. Thank you so much. Well, that's it from our speakers. I'm just going to now hand over to Councillor Victoria Aitken to say a few closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. It's been an absolutely amazing morning. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Wow, haven't we got the most amazing East Yorkshire? I can't wait to see us back out and about in our communities and ready to welcome our guests and our visitors to our wonderful part of the country. A couple of things that I just want to sort of remind you about, and that's, please don't forget, if you want any support, any ideas that you want to share among each other, then firstly get in touch with Julia. She's there, she's ready to help and support you. And of course we do have our business support teams available so that they can actually link you to any grants or any business support that you might need. Never be frightened of coming up with a new idea and sharing that among your colleagues and among the group here in the network, because I think it's by sharing those ideas and sharing those experiences that we can all learn and we can all prosper. So really, really positive. I think that although we've gone through a really difficult year, 18 months now, I think that what we can do is we can really pump this up, and East Riding has got such a lot to offer. So let's give our visitors the confidence that they need to come and enjoy what we have to offer, and let's get those businesses really thriving. And a number that came to my mind when I think it was Will that was speaking, and I think he came up with nearly £1 billion worth of tourist money that comes into Hull and East Riding. Let's enjoy that. Let's embrace that, and let's make the most of it. So thank you all. Thanks, really big thank you to all our speakers. They've done a great job. Thanks for the team for pulling this together, and thank you for joining, because I think we have got a great opportunity, and I really look forward to joining in all the work that you're going to be doing over the next 6 and 12 months. All the best and take care. Bye-bye now.